What's up, everyone? Welcome to Desean Philly Sports History for November 30th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Before we get started, a couple quick housekeeping things. First and foremost, we went over 25,000 streams yesterday. It is a testament to you. Thank you. I truly, truly appreciate it. Let's get to 5,000 now. And like I said, continue to grow this thing. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, keep spreading the word. Let's make this thing bigger than what it is. I did drop a new Back to the Future last night. That is available wherever you get your podcasts. For those of you who don't know, I have a longer, more focused podcast on one specific topic. Last night we talked a little bit about Eric Lindros. That is available wherever you get your podcasts. It's Back to the Future with a PH, wherever you get your pods, as well as on YouTube. Don't forget, and so many of you have already reached out regarding our food and gift drive. I truly, truly appreciate it. We are doing the first annual This Day in Philly Sports History food and gift drive. We're teaming with the Maddie and Dixon Community Cupboard in Ambler. Great organization. They've been around for over 50 years. They do so much good for not only this community, just the surrounding areas, and just so many different services between the food cupboard, between holiday gifts, between social working services, clothing, what you name it, they help out. What we're working on and what we're focusing on right now is those $25 gift cards. If you can, get in touch with me. You can mail them to me and I can deliver them all at once. We're going to take a few over. The kids really wanted to be a part of that as well, so I'm super excited. But $25 gift cards to either Target, Walmart, or Amazon by December 8th. That way they're able to give them out to the families so they can help make Christmas happen for their kids. It's just a great thing that they do. So Target, Walmart, if you're buying gift cards for somebody, just pick them an extra one. That's basically what we did. And the kids actually, I was very proud of them. They wanted to use their own money to buy a gift card. So we're going to go this weekend, buy the gift card. And once we have them all, if you guys let me know, I can drop them off when we go or just send them right to them. It's the Maddie and Dixon Community Center on Main Street in Ambler is sort of their main hub. Next week, we're really going to focus on some of the food drive. A lot of you have already reached out. I've gotten some donations already, which is amazing. Feel free if you want, get in touch and give me my address offline, and you can Amazon them directly to my house. You can take them right to the community center yourself, whatever works for you. But they need things like salad dressing, granola bars, toilet paper, peanut butter, juice boxes, box cake and brownie mix, hot chocolate, taco items. That'd be a good thing to have. Like the taco dinner kits is what we're going to give. Pasta, canned fruit, ground coffee, you name it. I posted the flyer on all my social media and I've been kind of refreshing it throughout the day. If you'd like, let me know and I can actually send it to you directly. But they're a great organization. Let's make this the best holiday for this community center and help our brothers and sisters in need. Like I said, let's focus on those gift cards this week, and then we'll start with the food drive next week. But any and all donations are welcome in the meantime. And they did tell me that they're more than willing to take cash donations if that's more your speed. They buy their perishables. When I was there that day, they just placed a $5,000 perishable grocery order because they were running low on things like bacon and eggs and things like that. They don't want you to donate that stuff, but the money and the cash actually works because that's something that they do. So anything you can help, I truly, truly appreciate it. You guys have helped me get to 2,500 streams. Let's make this grow and let's give back to our community, especially during the holiday season. All right, so to recap our question of the day, and it was almost unanimous. Everybody loves the powder blue uniforms, and it's hard to argue, but there was a lot more comments and people in my camp, which I tend to agree with. They like the powder blue, but they kind of like it for that special occasion. I had a lot of people talking about the nostalgia. Even one person went so far as to say, get rid of the Nike symbol, make them the official ones that we grew up with when we were kids. And I mean, those powder blues were the road uniforms when I was growing up, and a lot of you listening growing up. So for the most part, that was the theme. A lot of people did like the red pinstripes and the cream, though, too. I think for my money that I like how they switch it up. Like, I like the red pinstripes as the primary home, but I like throwing in the creams for days and the powder blues. I'd like to see them wear the powder blues every Thursday. Just make it a weekly sort of home thing. But again, thank you for everyone who participated. I'm going to grow this. And if you do listen to Back to the Future, I did make the announcement. I don't have a set date yet, but I've been teasing this, and this is part of why we're doing the question of the day. There will be a This Day in Philly Sports History / Back to the Future. I'm working on the name, so forgive me for that. Hotline, I'm just working on a couple technical things and trying to figure it out. I was hoping to get it rolled out by tomorrow, but that is not going to happen. But by the end of this year, the hotline will be up. I just got to figure out the logistics, and I'm almost there, so stay tuned for that. We're going to really grow this thing and make it way more interactive. All right, Sixers, just an ugly game. Joe was a last minute scratch with an illness. I don't know. It seems like something's going around the team because some of the coaches were missing. I believe Jaden Springer has it. There's somebody else too that's sick. So hopefully that kind of leaves the team and gets out by Friday's game against Boston. But 124-114, just an overall sloppy game. It's just kind of one of those games. Every now and then in a long NBA season, you're going to have those games where it's just like, nobody seems like they're really running, or really the effort is not there, and they're sluggish. And this was just one of those games. But there we go. Flyers news, and I mentioned that we did the Back to the Future on Eric Lindros. Well, everybody knows about the Legion of Doom line, but I actually forgot about this too. When he first came up, he's on the Crazy Eights line with Brent Fedek and Mark Recchi. They are all three going to be back this year for the Flyers alumni game, so they had a big announcement for that. So looking forward to seeing them reunite. Again, for more Eric Lindros, go to Back to the Future with a PH. Big Five Classic Championship is set, and I'm a little sluggish this morning. I didn't make it to the gym. I only actually went outside and went for a nice brisk walk in the cold this morning because I was up late watching the 3 overtime thriller that was the Temple LaSalle game. Temple coming out on top. And then St. Joe's upset Villanova, so it'll be Temple St. Joe's Saturday for the championship in the Big Five Classic. We'll see. I mean, listen, that was probably the best thing, is having a non-Villanova teams play for the championship for the Big Five to increase the excitement. So we'll definitely look forward to that on Saturday. But congrats to my Owls, especially the day that things are bleak for the Owls in their athletic department right now. They certainly are at a crossroads. The NIL and the new landscape of college sports has really done a number to them. Don't really want to get too much into that because my wheels are turning. Might do a round table or something with a lot of my Temple guys, but things are not looking good for our Owls, and not sure what the solution is, to be honest with you, because there's no money coming in. And again, I don't want to ruin, so more on that later. But they will be playing for the Big Five Championship, or the Big Five Classic Championship on Saturday. So between the Big Five, who is a staple in Philadelphia, we got Recchi and Lindros teaming back up for the alumni game. Both of them are Pro Hockey Hall of Famers. They are the GOATs of Philadelphia hockey. Why not go to the GOAT of Philadelphia sports apparel, Philly Goat? Check them out. It's the holiday season. You have about 11 days or so to get your orders in to have them in time for the holidays. We talked about the cool flyer stuff they have. We inspired them to come up with the Philadelphia Quakers sweater. They have which I'm going to order probably today. Going to order the ugly Christmas sweaters. They just got everything. We talked about the Mega John. Like they're coming out with like this heavy metal themed T-shirts with Iron Maxi and Green Sabbath, and I love it. And listen, this is the stuff we all love. So go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. It's, I mean, I don't know what else I can say about them. Like the stuff that they've been coming out with has just been phenomenal. So be sure to check them out. All right, Eagles news. And Zach Cunningham is definitely out with the hamstring. It could be possibly longer for this game. So that's going to be a blow to that defense, especially with the Niners coming in. Shaquille Leonard was in town. I guess basically now at this point the ball's in his court. I would not be surprised if the Eagles offered him more money. He said he would like to make a decision by this weekend. It does look like it's coming down to the Eagles and Cowboys, and we'll kind of see what his motivation is. Is it money? Does he want to win a championship? Because I feel for my money, and yes, I'm a little biased, but I think the Eagles give him the best chance to win a championship. Cowboys could possibly offer him more money based on where we are with the cap, but we'll see. They have the roster spot. The Eagles made room yesterday, so hopefully an announcement comes within the next day or two. Either way, he wouldn't be playing on Sunday, but let's get either. He's probably going to play in that Eagles-Dallas game. It's just a matter of which side he plays for. Deebo Samuel keeps doubling down on James Bradberry, calling him trash. Bradberry, for his credit, is taking the high road and not really responding. I'm anxious to see how this plays out on Sunday because I could see Bradberry coming out fired up and really playing a good game, which ultimately they're probably going to need because Brandon Ayuk, I have him on fantasy, and this is how I know it. He's quietly having a big season too. So it's just a matter. I mean, they need to. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a fun game. So more on that as the weekend comes. Big news out of Eagles camp yesterday was Desean Jackson officially retired. Came back, retired as an Eagle. He was making his rounds. He wants to make it a big party. He's thanking fans, all this. I'll be wearing my Desean Jackson jersey on Sunday to the game. Desean, 8 years, 6,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, 4 punt returns for the Eagles. Had the great Miracle of the Meadowlands 3, that punt return, and that. First of all, that was an amazing comeback in and of itself, and then to have the walk-off punt return, which I'm sure you've seen it. It's been replayed all day yesterday, but the fact that he fumbled that and then just was he turned on a different speed, like the Roadrunner. Was just incredible. One of my all-time favorite players, very explosive player. I think the whole Chip Kelly narrative about his gang ties and it's ridiculous. I still do not forgive Chip Kelly for letting him go, as well as trading McCoy, because just what could their careers had been had they stayed with the Eagles the entire time. It's just ridiculous. But Desean Jackson was always one of my favorite players. A stat I heard yesterday, which I thought was pretty interesting, because he had 2 different stints with the Eagles, he has caught touchdown passes from Donovan McNabb, Kevin Cobb, Michael Vick, Nick Foles, Carson Wentz, and has one from Jalen Hurts as well. So just interesting that his career spanned all those quarterbacks. And to me, it's a shame. I would have loved for him to somehow have gotten a championship with the Eagles. He did win one, I believe, when he was on the Rams when they won. I think it was the Rams. But congratulations on your retirement, Desean. I'll be supporting you with the jersey on Sunday, and he's calling. So if you have a Desean Jackson jersey, break it out for the game on Sunday. That's what he's asking. But one of the best deep threats, and just probably the most explosive player I've ever seen play for the Eagles. And we've had a few, but I think he's just in a league of his own. And the fact that we had him and Michael Vick on the same team, just incredible. So congrats to you, Desean, on your retirement. It is Thursday. That means the new Clashing Conferences podcast is out, so be sure to check out my boys over there, anywhere you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube. It's there. I'm ready to do something with them. We just need the Eagles to cooperate and have that internal competition win, and then I might be able to make my guest appearance on there. So more on that, but if you want details on what that means and what we're rooting for, listen to the Clashing Conferences podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. All right, today we're going to go back to 1901. And on this day, it was the Army Navy game, and it took place at Franklin Field. Army won the game 11-5 in front of 28,000 fans, including one major big time fan, Teddy Roosevelt. He was the first president to attend the game. He started the tradition of switching sides at halftime. He started on the Army side first, then switched to the Navy side at halftime. What I didn't realize, and I think they still do this too, the Secretary of Defense does the opposite. So he starts off on the Navy side and then switches to the Army side. And the reason for that is so there's at least one leader on both sides for the entire game. Just one of those really cool things. What I didn't realize for the Army-Navy game is that not every sitting president goes to every game. I thought it was just a foregone conclusion. Only 10 active presidents have ever attended the game. Teddy Roosevelt, Harry Truman, who did it a few times. JFK did it both years until he was assassinated. Woodrow Wilson, Calvin Coolidge, Gerald Ford, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, George W. Bush has done it a few times. Donald Trump has done it a few times. Joe Biden has not done it as president, but he was there as the vice president in 2012. And again, I thought it was something they did. It was just what they did, but only 10 presidents have done it. Obviously, they play for the Commander-in-Chief trophy. The teams now are both in the AAC starting next season. So even though they're in conference, the Army-Navy game is going to count as a non-conference game. If Army and Navy happen to be the top two schools in the AAC, then they would play again. They would play for the AAC championship game, which is now this weekend. And then the Army-Navy games next weekend, they would play back-to-back weeks, which is pretty cool. Like I really would love to see them both play, just for the sake of seeing Army-Navy play. It's one of my favorite games to watch every year. It doesn't matter what the team's records are. It always seems to be like a close game. Just a very patriotic. I don't know. I just always loved. Never have been to one live. I would love to. Most of the time it is played in Philly. They do play some in New York. Play some down in D.C. Or I don't know if they play in D.C. I know they play in Baltimore at the Ravens Stadium. This year is the first time it's ever up in New England. They're playing at Gillette Stadium this year. Both teams come in at 5-6, so it should be a solid game. And that is next weekend, Army-Navy. But on this day, back in 1901, the Army-Navy game took place at Franklin Field. Teddy Roosevelt became the first president to attend the game, started the tradition of switching side, and since then, only 9 others have attended, 10, I guess, if you count Biden as when he was vice president. All right, talk to you about Philly Goat. Make sure you check out Carson too. Time is running out to make sure you get that. They're running low on supply, and time's running out to make sure you can get it by the holidays. But they got you covered. Anything to organize your car. The initial product is the Carson. Hangs right on the back of your seat. My kids love it. But they have anything else for your car organizational needs. So be sure to check them out. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off, all one word, for 20% off of your order. That's carcan.com, promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off. All right, it is November 30th. Time for our final Phillies most disappointing athlete. And I could have gone Ben Simmons here. But again, my money is Markelle Fultz is a more disappointing process player. But I'm sure at this point there's no other way to go with this than Carson Wentz. Number 2 overall pick in 2016. Obviously played so well the first 11, 12, 13 games of, I forget what game he actually got injured in, of that 2017 season, and just was never the same since. The rest is history. You know, Nick Foles went on to catch lightning in a bottle. 2018 was just a horrible year. He started off slow, came back, got injured again. 2019, he actually played very well, and I think this gets lost in the Carson Wentz story. He played in all 16 games, threw over 40,000 yards, had 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. They won the division, got to the playoffs, and he was knocked out early in that game with a cheap shot from, I think it was Javadi. I think it was Clowney that hit him late. Either way, he got knocked out with a concussion, and that was basically the season. That offseason, they drafted Jalen Hurts. COVID happened, and he just was never the same. I mean, there were stories about him in the locker room previously, but he was just weak mentally and couldn't handle the competition. And I think he's the example of a big fish in a small pond coming to the NFL and not really know how to handle it. When he was at North Dakota State, he was the man on campus and everything. But when you get to the NFL, you have the different personalities. I kind of got the sense he never really fit in. Kudos to Howie for, one, being able to make the moves to draft him. Even though they signed him to that big contract, even more kudos to him for being able to get out of that contract and getting rid of him. And I know this is a hot topic that a lot of people don't like to talk about, and they say, why do we have to say this? Why do we have to say that? We don't win that Super Bowl without Carson Wentz. And yes, it was the perfect storm. I don't know if we win the Super Bowl if Wentz doesn't get hurt, to be honest with you, because of the way Nick Foles caught that lightning in a bottle. We certainly don't win the Super Bowl without Nick Foles. But the way Carson Wentz got us to that number one seed for the most part. And I think it's not quite fair. As much as he was a big disappointment in his career for the Eagles, I think it's not fair to say that, we would have won that, because we would not have won that. Like, Nick Foles was who he was, and we talked about that the other day with our question of the day. And literally, Nick Foles was what he was. He was very inconsistent, but when he got hot, he was hot. That injury messed with Carson so bad, and I've always wondered what happened if he did not tear his ACL and have to miss that time. Did that lead to some of the back injuries? And I mean, obviously Carson Wentz was injury prone. He was injured in college. He got injured his rookie year when he was playing in 2016. But to say we didn't win that Super Bowl without him, I think is unfair. However, that still doesn't take away from the fact he was a massive, massive disappointment. You're the number 2 overall pick, and you can't handle a little competition from Jalen Hurts coming in. Like, I can't get over. Like, that's a whole different level, and that's just weak. And that has nothing to do with, like, we talk about Ben and his him using mental in a bad mental state or whatever he said, and I think that's a real thing. I mean, mental health is a very important thing, and like I said, I've talked about different places I've been, but with Ben, he used it as an excuse. But even so, he had if that was the case, that was the case. With Carson Wentz, this wasn't mental health. This is just you not being a strong leader. And that doesn't have anything to do with your mental health. That's just your makeup as a person. And I think it was pretty obvious. I mean, he was out of the league last year, and it took till halfway through this season for him to come back and be signed as a backup. So that's where the disappointment in him comes, because the potential was there. It's just your internal, your makeup. You're not a leader. Like, some people are leaders, some people are not. And Carson Wentz obviously was not and couldn't handle a little competition. So that's why he's today's Philly sports most disappointing athlete. But again, question of the day, what are your thoughts? I personally don't think we win the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz playing that well. But what do you think? That's today's question of the day. Hit me up on social media. Let me know what you think. Do we win the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz? Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. At Philly Jimbo on Instagram, Facebook. If you're friends with me, comment right wherever you're watching and listening to this. Let me know. Do we win the Super Bowl without Carson Wentz? On this day back in 1901, the Army-Navy game took place at Franklin Field. Teddy Roosevelt became the first president ever to attend the game and started the tradition of switching sides. Congrats to D-Jack. Again, make sure if you have a Desean Jackson jersey, break it out this weekend. I'm going to, as long as it still fits me. I'm a little bit heavier since the last time I wore it, so hopefully I don't think it's supposed to be too cold, so I don't have to wear too many layers underneath of it. But make sure you're helping out the Matty Ann Dixon, whatever you can. Gift cards, money, the food. The list is there. If you have any questions, hit me up offline. Congrats to my Owls. I mean, it's a tough time to be a Temple Owl fan, but let's live it up for the next couple days, and hopefully they can bring home that Big 5 Classic Championship. Be sure to check out Back to the Future. Check out our sponsors, Philly Goat and Carcan. Let's give the Clashing Conferences podcast a listen, too. It's a good listen to put on the background while you're working. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.